What's going on, everybody? I know you were expecting a haunted video, but I just don't have the time before Halloween, so I'm gonna do this instead. It's basically the most haunted location in every state I've done so far. Happy Halloween. The first state being Connecticut, in which I ranked the most haunted place to be Dudleytown. The story of Dudleytown actually starts a long time ago, when King Henry VIII cursed Edmund Dudley and his entire lineage. Fast forward to the 1600s, when two members of the Dudley family bought a plot of land from a nearby farmer. Eventually, after other settlers moved onto the land, it was dubbed Dudleytown, but likely due to the curse placed upon the Dudley name, there is a long, dark history of sudden, inexplicable deaths, weird animal sightings, mysterious disappearances, mutilations, epidemics, and even demonic confrontations. The string of tragedies begins in 1759, when Nathaniel Carter bought Abiel Dudley's original home. Shortly after, a terrible cholera outbreak wiped out almost the entire Carter family, so Nathan and his family left to New York to escape the tragedy. But shortly after settling in New York, his family was attacked. Nathan and his wife were murdered, their cabin was burned to the ground, and their children were kidnapped and sold for ransom. Another resident, General Herman Swift, who served under George Washington, suffered a terrible loss when his wife, Sarah Fay, was struck and killed by lightning on their front porch. Her death resulted in Herman Swift becoming demented shortly after. The very last residents of Dudleytown were John Brophy and his family, who were hit by tragedy after tragedy. John's wife died of consumption. Shortly after, his two children wandered off into the woods, never to be seen again. John went insane living there alone, claiming to see terrifying green spirits and giant animals with cloven hooves that he said tried to enslave him. Soon after, he left Dudleytown, also never to be seen again. The town sat vacant for 20 years, until bought by Dr. William Clark in 1920, who created the Dark Forest Entry Association. A few years later, he left his wife for an emergency in New York City. After only 36 hours, he returned to see his wife had gone insane, claiming something terrible came out of the forest and attacked her. To this day, Dudleytown remains one of the most haunted locations in America. It is said to be unnaturally quiet in the surrounding area, with no sounds from wildlife, and there is also said to be a wolf-like shadow that watches people from the woods. Next up is Franklin Castle from Ohio. Franklin Castle, also known as the Tiedemann House, was built in 1881 for a German immigrant named Hans Tiedemann and his family. The home is 4 stories with over 20 rooms, 80 windows, hidden sections, secret passageways, gargoyles, and even a ballroom on the top floor. But shortly after moving in, tragedy struck the family. There were many mysterious deaths. First was their 15-year-old daughter, Emma, as well as Hans' 84-year-old mother. In 1883, 3 more of their children died to an illness, but the neighbors at the time suspected something more sinister had transpired. After all these deaths, the mother had become very devastated. She then put all of her energy into improving the castle, which is where the hidden rooms and other strange amenities were constructed. When Hans' wife, Louise, died in 1895, he remarried and moved away. The mansion was purchased by the German Socialist Party in 1913, and for 55 years, it was only used for parties and meetings. Though some say during this period, the castle was used for bootlegging, and there are even claims of a mass execution in one of the secret rooms, though none of these stories have ever been confirmed. To this day, the castle is widely considered haunted. In the ballroom, footsteps are often reported. Louise's room is also called the cold room, due to it always being 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the rest of the house. In 1968, Mr. and Mrs. Romano moved into the home with their 6 children. On the day they moved in, their young children came downstairs and asked for a cookie to give to a sad little girl in a long white dress. Upon searching for this girl, she was nowhere to be found. Mrs. Romano often reported the sound of an organ playing, though there is no organ in the home. She would also hear heavy marching on the 3rd floor, which she believed was telling them to stay away from the top floors. Soon they would find out she was right. When 3 of their friends came over and tried to go up to the 3rd floor, a thick mist appeared right in front of them. One of them was brave enough to walk toward it, but as they did, they began to lose eyesight and had to be pulled back before they fainted. Afterward, when they searched the 3rd floor, no explanation to this phantom cloud could be found. Another story is that on Halloween one year, the phone rang at about 12 a.m. A voice came through that Mrs. Romano described as being from the grave. It said, "Can I sleep with you tonight?" She screamed and threw the phone down. They eventually contacted a psychic Catholic priest, who said the main culprit of the activity was Louise Tiedemann, who the priest said even possessed Mrs. Romano from time to time. The priest thought the activity was due to the spirits not agreeing with the Romanos being the new owners. And in 1974, they sold the home and left. There is still much paranormal activity to this day, and tours are available. Number 3. Maryland, Antietam Battlefield. The Battle of Antietam during the Civil War was the bloodiest single-day battle fought on American soil. On September 17, 1862, General Robert E. Lee's army clashed with General George McClellan's Union forces. The casualty count reached 23,000 soldiers who died in the gruesome battle. The most significant location during the battle was what we now call Bloody Lane, where soldiers on both sides of the road fired continuously while Union soldiers tried to overtake the Confederate army. Bodies on bodies stacked on top of each other in the middle of the road. When walking down this historic road, visitors have heard loud gunfire and smelled gunpowder. Even when there are many visitors, it is said to stay deathly quiet. There have been many reports of men in Confederate uniforms walking near the road and then vanishing. Another reportedly haunted location is Burnside's Bridge, where many soldiers were buried quickly and in unmarked graves. People who visit at night see blue orbs and hear the sound of a drum playing cadence for the fallen soldiers. Number 4. North Dakota, Sand Haven Sanatorium. Near the town of Dunseith, North Dakota, lies the crumbling ruins of the old Sand Haven Sanatorium. Opened in 1912, the hospital was originally used for tuberculosis patients, though it eventually became a facility for many things, including mental illnesses. As tuberculosis became more treatable, the hospital eventually became an asylum and stopped treating patients with tuberculosis altogether. However, in the 1980s, there was problems with overcrowding, mistreatment of patients, and a general lack of understanding on how to treat mental illness, so the hospital was forced to permanently close its doors in 1987. Upwards of 1,000 people died during their stays at Sand Haven, and unfortunately, many of these people were put in unmarked graves on the hospital grounds. There was a terribly tragic accident in 2001, when a 17-year-old boy was exploring the abandoned hospital with his friends. He slipped and fell down an old elevator shaft and tragically died. Visitors to Sand Haven have told stories of loud crying, disembodied voices, loud footsteps, and floating humanoid figures. Many have also felt a strong feeling of dread when in or around the buildings. Number 5. New York, Rolling Hills Asylum. The Rolling Hills Asylum was originally a poor farm, which was a place where people down on their luck were able to stay in exchange for doing farm work. In 1828, a stone building was constructed beside the asylum. This would be used as a jail for anyone who was mischievous. This started the many years of abuse Rolling Hills is known for. There are over 1,700 documented deaths, and while there was once known to be a cemetery on the grounds, the exact location is no longer known. Many claim Rolling Hills to be a top 10 most haunted locations in America. For some of the former residents, this was the only home they'd ever known. They felt safe here, so why would they want to leave? For others, it was the pain and suffering in life that kept them here. A few tragic stories are attached to this building. The first talks of a man named Roy. He suffered from gigantism. This left him with oversized feet and hands. He was also well over 7 feet tall. His family considered him a disgrace and brought him to Rolling Hills Asylum at age 12, where he stayed until his death at 62. He was known in life to be very kind. Today, his towering shadow can be seen throughout the halls. One day, the owner was scared by a rat in the infirmary and ran away. The next day, she found the rat dead on the stairs with its neck broken, and a massive bloody handprint was on the wall. She believes Roy witnessed her distress and killed the rat for her. Other spirits are not so kind. A nurse named Emmy, who was known for her cruelty, is also said to roam the halls of Rolling Hills. She was even said to perform black magic on some of the patients. To this day, cackling and banging sounds can be heard coming from the infirmary. Possibly the biggest hotspot is Hattie's room. She was a blind woman who would yell out "hello" all day and night to get the nurse's attention. Many visitors can still hear her yelling hello, and also hear a quiet hello when they walk past the room. The men's dormitory on the second floor is well known for shadow figures. They can be seen walking, peering around corners, and even crawling on the ground. Visitors to solitary confinement often feel nauseous, and some are hit or pushed by unseen hands. And finally, the morgue is known for disembodied voices and poltergeist activity, as well as a violent spirit who likes pushing people down to the floor. Number 6. Wisconsin, Summer Wind Mansion. Summer Wind Mansion, also known as Lamont's Mansion, was built as a summer home in 1916 for Robert Patterson Lamont, who would later serve as the U.S. Secretary of Commerce under President Herbert Hoover. Not much is known of Lamont's time at Summerwind, but one story says he once fired his pistol at what he believed was an intruder, only to watch in horror as the bullets passed through the specter and into the wall behind. After Lamont's death, the mansion changed hands multiple times. It ended up in the hands of Arnold and Ginger Hinshaw, who moved into the home with their children in the 1970s. They quickly began experiencing strange happenings, such as the apparition of a woman, voices in empty rooms, and doors and windows opening and closing by themselves. One evening, a human corpse was found in a closet, only to vanish shortly after. Workers hired to make repairs felt so uneasy in the home. One day they left and never returned. Eventually, Arnold began having a breakdown. He would often play his organ late at night, while his family huddled together and cried. He claimed voices in his head demanded that he played. Arnold was soon sent away for treatment. Shortly after, Ginger and the children moved away. Raymond Bober, Ginger's father, ended up buying the house, writing a book about his experiences in the home. He claimed the mansion was haunted by Jonathan Carver, an 18th century explorer. His spirit is apparently looking for a deed sealed in the home's foundation. This deed was said to have been given to Carver by Sioux chiefs in the area, and would give him vast swaths of land. However, John Carver never mentioned any of this in his writings, so many believe Raymond Bober was making it all up for his book. The home sat vacant for many years until it eventually burned to the ground in 1988. All that's left today are the creepy, overgrown ruins of Summerwind Mansion. Number 7. Minnesota. Four Pogs Restaurant. The story of Four Pogs Restaurant goes back to when it was originally a mansion. The home was owned by Joseph Forepog and his wife Mary. They had a servant named Molly that Joseph was smitten with, and he made every excuse to keep her close to him. Eventually, his wife Mary realized his feelings toward Molly and became extremely jealous. She began giving Molly chores as far from her husband as possible. However, it turned out Molly was carrying Joseph's child. When Mary found this out, she was furious and forced Joseph to end things with Molly immediately. But Molly was so distraught by this that she took her own life in a room on the 3rd floor. Joseph was devastated by this, and one day he went out for a walk and shot himself with a pistol he hid in his coat pocket. To this day, there is paranormal activity in what is now Four Pogs Restaurant. Molly is often seen by guests, and Joseph can be seen wearing a dark waistcoat and a derby hat. He can be seen going into the basement, at which time lights flicker and shuffling noises can be heard. He has also been caught on film many times, usually sitting next to female guests. Thank you all for watching, and comment down below what your favorite place was, and I will try to get the Oregon Most Haunted out as soon as possible. Again, happy Halloween. Peace.